right into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost with me, Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. We're on the show today. Pakistan Cricket Board faces the wrath of experts and fans over the pitch that they provided for that first test against England in Multan. When will Pakistan get things right? Over in football, Kylian Mbappe is embroiled in another matter where he seems to be stuck in the middle of two warring parties. Haven't we seen enough of this already? Real Madrid and France this time. Club versus country all over again. I'll get you the latest on that. And you'd think Paris Olympics organisers would have finally breathed a sigh of relief. All complaints, controversies and backlashes all done. That's what they'd think. Not so fast. Olympic medalists are complaining and fuming about the quality of the medals that they took back home. They're getting tarnished. More on this on the show, but first, a look at the headlines. Starting with football, the Asian Football Confederation, or the AFC, has removed Mohun Bagan from the Asian Champions League 2. This after the Indian club refused to travel to Iran for its match against Tractor SC. Mohun Bagan has appealed the body's decision. The club had refused to travel because of security and political unrest in West Asia. Italian footballer Marco Curto has been banned for 10 matches by FIFA for racially abusing South Korea's Hwang Hee-chen. The incident occurred during a friendly club football match between Coma and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Coma's Curto will serve half of the ban immediately and the other half will be completed over 2 years in addition to community service. Over in cricket and the Women's T20 World Cup, England beat South Africa by 7 wickets in a Group B encounter. Batting first, South Africa posted 124. England reached their target with 4 balls to spare. Danny Wyatt-Hodge and Nat Skiver-Brunt were key performers for England. Even South Africa's men's team suffered a defeat. In an ODI match Ireland beat South Africa by 69 runs in the third of the series. Batting first, Ireland posted 284. Captain Paul Stirling top scored with 88 runs. In response, South Africa were dismissed for 215. Despite the loss, South Africa took home the series 2-1. And summing it up with news from baseball, Shohei Ohtani's historic 50th home run ball auction will go ahead despite the dispute over the ownership of the ball. Fans who are arguing over this have agreed to let the auction go ahead as the legal battle continues in court. The bids are allowed up till October 22nd. The current highest bid is of $1.5 million. Test cricket is trying to fight for its place alongside the more charming, glamorous version of T20. So needless to say, the format needs to do all it can to be more competitive and make it more exciting, not just for cricketers, but fans and watchers too. But Pakistan has come under a lot of flack during that first test against England in Multan. The good news for Pakistan, they won the toss and batted first. They managed to score 556 runs over the course of 2 days. Some good knocks under the belt for certain key players who've been under pressure. The good news ends there. Yes, the bad news is all the rest of it. Well, and there's quite a bit of it. First, here's why Pakistan were able to rake in that many runs. The track was a belter, so flat that you could drive a truck right over it without any bumps, and it's irked many former cricketers, particularly the Englishmen. Some humour in there, but obviously no one's seeing the funny side of this. Kevin Pietersen and Michael Vaughan, really the most caustic of those remarks. Quite harsh coming from them. Graveyard for bowlers. Vaughan called it a road. Fans, of course, did their bit to troll the Pakistan Cricket Board in particular for dishing out what clearly was the most poor pitch on offer in an international test. Yes, and this comes at a time when cricket is slowly coming back to Pakistan. How can the meme factory here be too far behind when it is about Pakistan cricket? It's the most honest supporters who are the first in line to critique their own team. But that's not all. Babar Azam, who recently stepped down from the post of captain of white ball cricket, this happened after that connection camp that happened on the 23rd of September. He was not spared at all. He was severely trolled for not capitalizing on that pitch on offer and getting out sooner than later. I guess people have not quite taken to the seesaw affair over captaincy just yet. So this performance, or the lack of it, also came under that magnifying glass. But in all seriousness now, why even offer such conditions which are bound to make for a drab, dull affair in the first place? The thing is, Multan in fact was not the first choice of venue. Like we pointed out just here some days back, Pakistan Cricket Board had to move that venue to Multan ahead of this series when they realized that a lot of the work across their other venues would be jeopardized. This is because of the renovation work that is underway to get the venues ready for the Champions Trophy that's scheduled to take place in Pakistan at the start of 2025. The three venues that have been shortlisted for that ICC event, you know it, we want to say it again, Lahore, Karachi and Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi is still going to host a test in the series, the last one. But Pakistan were forced to slate in Multan as a venue to host two of these three tests. More joy for batters and a nightmare for the bowlers, unless, of course, there's a different pitch that's miraculously more drastically different. In fact, there is some concern even with the Rawalpindi venue for the third test. That will essentially put a halt to the work that's going on under progress. There were reports, of course, that had come out in September that PCB may be forced to shift the series outside Pakistan itself. But they had to stop that from happening with all the turmoil and the negative talks that is already dominating Pakistan cricket currently. The last thing PCB chief Naqvi wanted was a series being pulled out of the host's hands, especially with an ICC event around the corner. So this last-ditch effort by the board that clearly seems to have backfired has what left of this particular series, of this being held in Multan. Because let's not forget, England will bat on this. And they will be licking their lips at the prospect of giving Pakistan the perfect fielding practice after especially bowling out close to 200 overs themselves. The sad part is this has come at the cost of the beauty of Test cricket and a pure contest. Kylian Mbappe's Real Madrid signing was expected to be a smooth ride for the French captain, and rightly so. One of the best footballers in the world was joining one of the most dominant sides in Europe. But the dream signing has been far from smooth for the 25-year-old. A sour fallout with PSG followed Mbappe right after he came on board at Real. The slow start at Real with injuries didn't help either. And of course, the classic club versus country debate was always a sword hanging over Mbappe's head. So what's the latest now? Mbappe has been criticized once more for opting out of France's Nation League matches against Israel and Belgium. That's later this month. What made fans furious was the fact that Mbappe said injury concerns will have to force him out of these matches. Yet, he managed to turn up for Real Madrid games. Mbappe came off the bench in the Champions League game between Real Madrid and Lille and also started the La Liga match against Villarreal, leaving experts puzzled and fans rather miffed. Of course, one big reason why Mbappe is facing all the heat is because he's the captain of the French squad. The second in line to lead France, Antoine Griezmann announced his retirement from international football just last week. So France is headless in some way and will be without a senior figure, at least the ones of this caliber, and that's riled up all fans. But here's the thing about football, the system. The calendar, the schedule is drawn in such a way that club football almost always supersedes or takes precedence over national commitments. Unless there is a major tournament, and that happens to be probably the World Cup at most, and Mbappe's stature has forced him to be stuck in the middle of this raging debate.
Kylian embodies a lot of things. The interests of the clubs and the interests of the national teams inevitably diverge. We must also remember that the employer is the club, not the federation.
In the Nations League 2, France is facing Israel and Belgium in a group stage match. Sure, it's an international fixture, but they aren't in a do-or-die scenario, at least not yet. They're already second in the group and in command for a qualification for the next round. That's how it looks when you look at those points there. Now, in terms of players too, they have enough firepower in Randall Colomouani, Ousmane Dembele and Marcus Thuram, who can cover for the French captain. And in captaincy terms too, they have N'Golo Kante stepping in for Mbappe. It's a squad that recently reached the semi-finals of Euros and even finished as runners-up at FIFA World Cup 2022, minus Mbappe, of course. They can surely handle 2 matches without Kylian Mbappe's presence. But the reason why everyone is up in arms is because it is Kylian Mbappe. And it's not the first time the 25-year-old has had to be pulled in 2 opposite directions and forced to pick a side. Because the Paris Olympics too, right there, all of France, including President Emmanuel Macron, wanted Mbappe to be a part of the Games. But Real Madrid didn't allow Mbappe to participate at the event. Back then too, Mbappe's allegiance was questioned, despite the star player expressing his desire to play at an Olympics. People refused to comprehend that it wasn't Mbappe who said no back then, but Real Madrid instead. The club felt Mbappe was needed more with them than with France. And as Deschamps pointed out, the employer is the club, not the federation. Which might sound odd, especially when you compare football to other disciplines, but in football that has always been the way, the manner, the law in some sense. And it's not like Mbappe is the first one to do so. Players like Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi too have skipped international duties, friendlies, or matches that might be considered inconsequential to prioritize club football. Just recently, Messi announced before the Copa America that he wouldn't take part at the Olympics. Sure, Messi got injured coincidentally after Copa America and had to stay away from the games and from football nevertheless. But his announcement of pulling away came before he even got injured. And unlike Mbappe, Messi wasn't forced by his club Inter Miami. It was a decision Messi took himself. Which is important to note because the football calendar is already getting very busy. More Champions League matches, we've been hearing the row about it, more international fixtures, and with the addition of Club World Cup, things are bound to get much more intense. Which is why players are prioritizing certain matches, whether it's club over country at times or the other way around too. Because if it was prioritizing only club over country all the time, Mbappe wouldn't have taken the field for France at the Euros like this. Remember, he got injured and he came out sporting those French colours. It was quite the rage then. And it isn't just Euros where Mbappe has shown his dedication and allegiance towards France. This is the same Mbappe who stayed back at PSG just because the 2022 FIFA World Cup was around the corner in Qatar. And given PSG have the Qatari owners, Mbappe didn't want to upset them before a major tournament. Mbappe is someone who's taken France to a World Cup win, a World Cup final in 2022, a Nations League trophy. But given the star power Mbappe comes with, drama has to surround him. The 25-year-old, though, has proved time and again that he knows how to deal with situations like this, because it isn't just his football prowess that makes him a star athlete, but also his diplomatic command. And in this situation, maybe the need of the hour is diplomacy more than dribbling skills. The Paris Olympics ended up being a bit of a chaotic affair for many of the athletes, from security concerns to poor facilities and controversies surrounding the games at every turn. It was rich with that. And while these issues did make it a very forgetful event for many, the biggest highlight for any athlete, especially in any Olympic edition, is always finishing at the podium and taking home that glorious medal. But even that glory seems to be tarnished, because in just 2 months, the piece of history is wearing off. Clearly, it didn't take too long for the medals to lose its sheen. Some of the athletes claimed the medals degraded within a week from the closing ceremony. Hockey player from India, Hardik Singh, is the latest, who says the organisers had to get at least this right, and they failed here too. Is this one of the biggest failings of Paris organisers, that the medal athletes take home don't look like medals anymore? A report.
The Paris Olympics organisers wanted to make their event a historic one. But it ended up being a chaotic affair every which way. The podium finishes were the biggest takeaway for the athletes, but the complaints over the medals prove Paris failed in its attempt to delivering that too. That's shocking, because after the tournament, the only thing that remains, the only tangible evidence of glory at the game for any athlete, is the medal, the true souvenir, a reflection of immense hard work and patience. The latest voice to join the criticism is India's Hardik Singh from the bronze-winning men's hockey team.
The medal had iron from the Eiffel Tower. We were told. I hope it's true. They had one job of making a good quality medal, which is not the case. No problem. Still, I would say this is my biggest achievement.
Hardik's statement comes 2 months after the tournament. And if you thought this is way too early for the medals to deteriorate, wait till you hear from the rest of the athletes. Just a week after the closing ceremony marked the conclusion of Paris Olympics, British diver Yasmin Harper, who won Britain's first medal at the Paris event, claimed her bronze medal was losing its sheen.
There's been some small bits of tarnishing. I think it's water or anything that gets under metal. It's making it go a little bit discolored, but I'm not sure.
Although Harper tried to not be too bothered about it, the truth is, this is the piece that every athlete fights for. But just because athletes have to battle hard to win a medal at Paris, doesn't justify the medals looking like it has come from a war zone, does it? At least that's what America's skateboard bronze medalist Nigel Huston said. He said on his X account that the quality of the medals is not as great as they look. Maybe Paris was rewarding the athletes for staying at the Olympic villages, because all the athletes who survived after living there deserved a medal. Because the fight they put up was quite similar to waging a war. After Huston's complaint, Paris organisers even offered to compensate by exchanging the medal. But how many can they do that for? Because there were more than 1,000 medal winners at Paris. Some athletes even compared the medals with the one they were given at the Tokyo Olympics about 3 years ago. Men's badminton gold medalist Victor Axelsen pointed out the stark difference between the two. Massive difference there between a medal that has survived 3 long years and the other that failed to maintain its charm even for a few weeks. Clearly, Paris failed to live up to the hype they created. While athletes were assured that they are taking a piece of history with parts of the Eiffel Tower in the medals, maybe they were just taking rusty metal with a bit of colour splashed on it. Who knows, after a few years even the gold, silver and bronze medal may end up looking the same. Something Paris Olympic medalists would be dreading. But even without that, Paris failed to deliver one thing that they were expected to beyond most. A souvenir that can live for years. Clearly, all that glitters is not gold.
Time for Last Serve. The highlight of last year's NFL season was the presence of pop star Taylor Swift in the stands. The American singer is continuing that tradition. After a gap of 2 matches where she wasn't seen, Swift is back in the box, supporting her boyfriend Travis Kelce during Kansas City Chiefs' victory over New Orleans Saints. Snapshots of a romance that the world can't get enough of, and surely not the NFL. That wraps up First Sports here today. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, bye-bye.